Hi, I'm James with the Brains Report, and I'm here to tell you about the Ecovacs Deebot Ozmo AIVI robot vacuum with its accompanying self-emptying base and the cool mopping system over here. But before we get started, I have to tell you about how I'm an expert. I have reviewed dozens of robotic vacuums for various outlets. One of the biggest outlets, which I prefer not to name, but you can Google. And I put all the vacuums through a battery of tests. I have this like protocol written out. I toss a tablespoon of flour onto carpeting and hardwood. I toss a tablespoon of coffee grounds on both surfaces, a tablespoon of kitty litter, unused, I found used as disgusting, and pet hairs. And I run the vacuum through 2 cycles and see how much is left, compare before and after photos. I also put flour in corners, see how close to the corner it gets. And this is Finky, by the way. And I also use a decibel meter or sound meter and keep it about 12 inches from the vacuum while it's on its highest mode and lowest mode. I put the vacuums through all these tests. Then I assign a score based on their performance and features and how well the features work, and rank the robotic vacuums. And this year, I'm going to call it the AIVI for short. This year, robotic vacuum, it was tied for the best. It tied with 3 other robotic vacuums for the best performance overall. And among those, I thought was the best for vacuuming and mopping, because it does both pretty darn well, as we'll discuss here in a minute. So before we get too into it, let's talk about what this comes with. This is the actual box that it came in, and you can see its long, confusing name. AIVI is some sort of artificial intelligence that it uses. So it may become self-aware and kill you. Just something you want to keep in the back of your mind for 3 a.m. in the morning. Let's open her up here. It comes with this paperwork. I encourage you to read it all. It gets kind of confusing because it goes into different languages. Spanish, French, you may not get much out of those, but you do need to read them. It comes with a camera lens cover because, well, I'll talk about it now, because this has a built-in camera for home surveillance. So you can be anywhere in the world and just use the app and see what's going on at home, check on your pupper, or I don't know, if you don't trust your family, you could keep an eye on them. I suggest instead that you talk to your family about it, but hey, different strokes. What else we got in here? This is an extra dirt disposal bag, which I'll talk about in a minute here. More paperwork. It's got this is a little protective thing that I clearly have not used at all. That makes it so when it's done mopping, it doesn't get water on your floor. It gets on this protective thing. And we got all sorts of extras here. This is the mop attachment for the mop that comes with it. A couple of extra side brushes, filter, disposable mop rags, and yeah, that's about everything that comes with it. I'm going to just toss this out of the way. So that's what comes with it. The app has a lot of cool features, including scheduling, which is pretty standard. You can set up no-go zones, and that's basically once it maps your home, you can go into the app and choose places on the map where you don't want the vacuum to go. I've had, it works really well. The problem is getting the mapping accurate. I have an adjustable bed with all sorts of wires hanging down, and so this gets caught up on the wires and gets kind of stuck. And so each time I run it, it gets stuck in those, and then since it's stuck, it can't create the full map, so I can't set the no-go zones. If that's an issue for you, I recommend putting physical barriers in the way so that it can do the mapping. And then once it has the mapping, then you can go ahead and remove the physical barriers and use the app. The other thing I mentioned, it has video surveillance. I toyed around with it, and it works as advertised. It's got a pretty clear picture on it. The only thing is I don't find it that useful. I think it's because we're filming this during pandemic times and I'm home 24/7. So I don't need to check up on my puppers. I don't need to check up on my family. I can see them. Okay, let's get into the performance of this bad boy. I don't know the gender. They performed well on carpeting and hardwood. I think there was no trace of any of the substances, none of the kitty litter, coffee grounds, pet hair, or flour, except there was, I'd say about 5% of the flour was left over on the hardwood. That's still a very good performance, excellent even. What else did I want to... And so that performance is pretty darn impressive considering how loud it is. It's a pretty quiet machine. I'm going to kind of demonstrate here for you, hopefully. So I believe it's on quiet mode right now, which is, I've measured it at 58 decibels, which is quieter than normal conversation. On high mode, it's at about 67 decibels, which is still pretty good. It's a little bit quieter than city traffic. It also tells you what it's doing. It's having a little bit of trouble now because I moved the base, so it kind of has to remap everything. And now it's attacking me. The AI is taking over. We need to run for our lives. Or I hit the power button. I think we're fine as long as I can reach that power button. It didn't do, as I mentioned, it got stuck under the adjustable bed fairly often. It also got stuck on the lip between my living room and kitchen. We have about a 1-inch threshold there, and it would get stuck on it. One time I think it made it over, but that's something that I set in the no-go zone to just avoid, and that solved that problem. I also kind of had a little bit of trouble in the corners. Got within 2 inches of the corner, which is about average. And on the hardwood, it picked up about 80% of the flour, but on carpeting, it only picked up 35% of the flour, which is not very good. It's also kind of a big lug. So you can see it's got this part here that sticks up, which makes it so it can't fit under low clearance furniture. I don't have any furniture that is at that level, so it's not really an issue, and I think for most people it won't be an issue. But if you might want to measure your furniture and see how much clearance is under there. If it's less than 3.5 inches and you want to get under there, you might want to get a slimmer vacuum. And I want to show you something real quick. So this, right now, all of these parts are separate. The vacuum is sold separately from this base. And the vacuum currently on its own costs $650, which is a lot. But keep in mind, this has so many high-end features in it. If you're looking for a thing that does surveillance and cleans your home, and this is a great option. The base is an extra $250, which is pricey, but I think it's worth it. If you look under here, you've got right here, you've got the dustbin. And you see these holes here. The holes line up with these, and there's a vacuum in here that sucks everything out of the dustbin and collects it in this dirt bag. A lot of people call me a dirt bag, but we won't get into that. This is a useful dirt bag, and so that way you don't have to empty the dustbin very often. You only have to empty it every year or every month or two. Every month or two, you need to replace the dirt bag, and as I mentioned, it comes with an extra one. You simply take it out, toss it, put the new one in. Easy peasy. For $100, I strongly recommend picking up this mopping system. This is the best robotic vacuum mopping system I've come across. I put the mops through a test where they have to clean up dried up tang. Figured if it was tang's good enough for astronauts, it's good enough for my testing. And you fill it up with water here. And you add one of these disposable mopping pads that come with it, and it just velcros right on there. And yeah, you put it on, and you move this to the place where you want to mop. And it lets you know that it's installed. And let's look right here. You can see that does 480 scrubs per minute. And I found that is the best scrubbing of any robotic vacuum I've tested. I'm guessing the robotic vacuum technology just keeps getting better every year, and I think this is the direction that's going to go in, the good scrubbing. Still, I don't think it does as well as your classic mop and the bucket, but it's pretty good for if you want to do it the lazy way. What else do I want to cover? It still comes with a mop attachment, even if you don't pay the $100 more for this one. But it's not as good. Right now the dog is licking my camera person. It's adorable. I'm trying really hard not to go, oh. I think that's about all that I want to cover. If you have the money, I strongly recommend picking this up. If you want the best vacuum with all of the features, this covers it all. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, that's it. If you enjoyed this video and want to continue to support my work, I'd really appreciate if you'd subscribe and leave a comment. I'm sure there's stuff I forgot to cover, and I'm more than happy to answer your comments. I check all the comments for all my videos at least once every 24 hours. So if you can wait 24 hours, chances are I will get back to you with an answer to your question. In the meantime, keep it squeezy.